Hello my sugar cups, Crazy here with more news, and quite big and exciting news this time. But before we start, I would like to let you all know the Steam summer sale is here. So if you don't have Project Zomboid yet, or if you want to gift it to a friend, the game is now 33% off till the 7th of July. So get it cheap where you still can. To follow up on my last news video, work on the unstable beta build for the 1.72 is still ongoing and they will release it whenever they can. How long this might be is unknown, but the reason for its delay is not. The developers are still working on fixing the vehicles in multiplayer, specifically the problem that arises when there's a big ping difference between the players as they drive. The developers also recapped some features that we'll see in the stable beta build. If you want to see this more in depth, then I recommend my previous news video, wink wink. But of course, despite of the delays, work continued as usual. The game's food and recipes have gained a polish, adding cooking recipes from Blair O'Ghoul, which is the model that they onboarded last week, the goal being to fill illogical gaps in the food crafting system. This includes balancing and making it so you can't jam footballs in toasters no more. Which might be unfortunate for some, but I don't know why this was even possible in the first place. Anyway, behind the scenes, foraging also got a change. They made it so the foraging zones aren't based off of squares and rectangles no more, but instead they're based off of this type of pattern, which is called a polygon. At least that's my understanding of it, and I hope this stock footage can help you understand what I mean. Also, when the unstable beta build releases, we'll also get new map changes. This includes the upgraded farms on the map. The purpose of these farms is so the map is ready for the farm animals update, which we can expect to see in build 42. In the unstable beta build we will also see the improved rich district in Louisville, which translates to more fancy houses. And we will also be seeing many new tiles like baby cribs, factory machines and so much more. Plenty of new flavors to go around, and keep that map nice and spicy. The developers have also let us know that they are on their way to flipping the switch and start working purely on the new build 42. So let's talk about what build 42 features have been worked on. A really big and exciting upcoming improvement in build 42 is the crafting improvements, which is one that I've been awaiting quite some time. It will introduce new professions, new items, a crafting tree and workstations for different professions. The crafting will also have more RPG-like variables based on the crafter's skill level. So if you are a good crafter, your weapons will be of higher quality. This might be damage-wise or durability-wise, at least that's my guess. But the ingredients you use for crafting and its stats will also affect how your finished product will be like. An example for you would be, a man makes a hammer from scratch. Now this hammer requires a wooden handle and a hammerhead. Now the wood of the wooden handle will have a certain quality and so will the hammerhead, which is made with a certain quality iron. So these two factors already determine the quality of the end result. This is of course further influenced by the skill of the craftsman, which I think is really cool. In the future you might actually just ask one person to make all the weapons, because he's the most knowledgeable. It reminds me a lot of Life is Feudal, which had a similar system. But this very system also made it very grindy, so we will have to see how they implement this. The developers also said you can place a crafted item down as a rolled item and then later pick it back up with all the attributes intact. For example, when you place a crafted item in a trap being a rolled item, like a shotgun trap for example, with the damage of the shotgun being based on its quality. And if after a few trap activations the shotgun gets taken out of the trap, then its condition value have been lowered, for the shotgun has now been used, which the game can now register inside rolled items. A shotgun trap is not promised by the way, it was just an example they used. So don't go waiting on shotgun traps. Now let's talk animals. Currently, stuff that isn't in your current surrounding doesn't get streamed in. But when there is animals, this of course does need to happen. Otherwise you can just go on a little holiday and leave your cow at home and then return and it wouldn't even have aged or starved at all. The animals that the developers have currently modeled are rats, squirrels, large birds, deer and domesticated animals. And having all these animals constantly updating throughout the world will take a lot of CPU power. So to combat this, their status only gets updated every in-game hour, but this is only if you're not nearby. So if a person wants to breed 1,000 rats, their CPU won't get taxed as much with the status update of your beloved rats every second. Animal migration we have discussed a bit in a previous video, but there's more on this today too. Wild animals will roughly follow a set path like they do in real life. These paths are drawn and have notes on them where they can eat, drink and so forth. This will allow the player to also learn these paths, so you know where to hunt. You might also be able to mark these paths on your map. They aren't really sure on this yet, but tracking animals might be done through finding their poop or shit, which will be done through the foraging system. And then you will roughly get their path on your map, depending on the freshness of the poop. Man, it feels weird saying this. Anyway, these animal paths can of course change because animals migrate. But if you do hunt a pack of animals, you gotta make sure you don't kill all the males or females. For otherwise your wildlife won't be able to reproduce for some time, as they will have to find new members to add to their pack so they can breed. As breeding usually requires a male and female, unless the pack that you're hunting is consistent of slugs, which do both I suppose. And hunting pregnant animals for example is also not a very logical thing to do. But in the end of the day, you do you. That's all from me for now. Let me know what you think of today's news, and I will hopefully see you all again in the next one. Bye bye for now.